There will come a time in every person's life when the crowd will walk away, when the support will disappear, when even the closest people may not understand your vision. And in that moment, you will face a question: am I strong enough to stand alone? Life does not always give us companions to hold our hand, but God always gives us strength to hold ourselves. The truth is, sometimes standing alone is not a weakness, it is the greatest proof of courage. It is in that silence, in that solitude, that God speaks the loudest. Today, I want to remind you that standing alone is not about being lonely. It is about being connected to the deepest power within you. Always be ready to stand alone, because that is when you discover your true self. When we speak about standing alone, the very first thing that comes to mind is fear. Fear of being misunderstood, fear of being judged, fear of being abandoned. But my friends, let me share something very important. When people leave you, when support disappears, when even those you trusted turn their back, God does not leave. He remains steady, constant, unshaken. And it is in those moments of loneliness that we are given the greatest opportunity to discover the inner strength that comes directly from God. Think about this for a moment. In life, when everything is going well, when people are clapping for us, when friends are around us, it is easy to feel strong. But true strength is not tested when you are surrounded by applause. True strength is tested when you are surrounded by silence. And in that silence, if you can stand tall, it means you have touched the power that God has placed within you. Let me give you a simple daily life example. Imagine a student preparing for an exam. All his friends go out to enjoy, to watch a movie, to celebrate, but he decides to stay back and study. In that moment, he feels alone. No one is around him. The room is quiet. But instead of feeling lonely, he decides to remind himself, I am doing this for a greater purpose, for my growth, for my future. That strength is not coming from the crowd. That strength is coming from within, from the divine spark God has planted in his heart. The same applies to all of us. Sometimes you will have to say no to distractions, no to temptations, no to negativity, and yes to your higher calling, even if it means standing alone. Another example, think of a person who wants to quit a bad habit, maybe smoking or drinking. At first, the whole group laughs at him, saying, come on, just one more time, what's the big deal? And in that moment, he feels the pressure to fit in. But when he remembers the strength God has given him, when he reminds himself of his health, his family, his values, he makes the choice to walk away. He may walk alone, but he walks strong. That is the beauty of inner strength. It is not about having people cheer for you. It is about having God's voice whisper inside you, I am with you, keep going. The truth is, my friends, we often underestimate how much strength we already have. Just because we don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. A tree does not see how deep its roots go, but those roots hold it firm when storms come. In the same way, our faith, our connection to God is the root. The storm of loneliness, rejection, or difficulty will shake us, but it will not break us if we are rooted deep enough. Let me ask you, have you ever noticed how some of the strongest decisions in your life were made when you were alone? Not when you were in a crowd, not when everyone was giving you opinions, but when you sat quietly with yourself and with God. That is where clarity comes, that is where courage rises, and that is where strength is born. Sometimes standing alone means saying no when everyone else is saying yes. Sometimes it means choosing honesty when everyone else is choosing shortcuts. Sometimes it means following your path even when others laugh at it. But always remember, the moment you dare to stand alone, you are never truly alone, because God's hand is holding you, guiding you, strengthening you. Think about all the great souls in history. None of them began their journey with a crowd. They began alone. They stood for truth, for compassion, for justice, often mocked, often opposed, sometimes even abandoned. But because they drew strength from God, their light did not fade. And soon the world followed them. This shows us a powerful lesson. When you connect to inner strength, the crowd will eventually come, but first you must learn to walk alone. In your daily life, there will be small but significant moments where this lesson will test you. Maybe it's refusing to gossip when everyone else is enjoying it. Maybe it's choosing discipline in your work when others are lazy. Maybe it's protecting your peace instead of engaging in meaningless arguments. In those moments, you may look around and feel, why am I the only one doing this? But instead of doubting yourself, smile and say, this is my chance to stand alone with strength. This is my moment to grow. Because here is the ultimate truth. God did not design you to be weak. He designed you to be strong. Not strong only when surrounded by others, but strong even when you stand by yourself. That is why life will test you. Life will create situations where you feel abandoned, where you feel unsupported, not to break you, but to build you, to remind you that your real strength is not borrowed from others, it is born from within, from the divine. So, my dear friends, whenever life pushes you into a corner where you feel alone, do not curse the situation. Do not see it as punishment. See it as training. See it as God's way of telling you, I want you to realize your strength. I want you to know how powerful you truly are. And when you come out of that test, you will not only stand strong, you will stand unshakable. In this fast, moving world, silence has almost become a stranger. From the moment we wake up, there is noise, the noise of phones buzzing, traffic on the road, people talking, music playing, endless notifications pulling our mind in every direction. We have grown so used to noise that silence feels uncomfortable, even frightening. Yet, silence is not emptiness. Silence is the richest space where clarity is born. And when you stand alone, it is silence that becomes your greatest teacher, your greatest guide. Have you noticed how difficult it is for most people to simply sit in silence? The mind keeps searching for something, some distraction, some activity. But when we allow ourselves to pause, when we stop running, when we sit quietly with God, we begin to hear what the noise of the world has been hiding from us all along. We begin to hear the gentle whisper of our heart. And in that whisper lies the direction of our life. Let me share an example from daily life. Imagine you are confused about your career, your relationships, or a big decision. Naturally, you start asking people for advice, family, friends, colleagues. Everyone gives you their opinion, and instead of clarity, you feel more confused. You see, noise multiplies confusion. But the moment you switch off your phone, sit quietly, maybe in your room, maybe in a park, maybe in prayer, a different kind of voice starts speaking within you. It is not the loud voice of the crowd, it is the calm voice of clarity. And very often, it is God's way of guiding you. Another example, think about when you are upset or angry. In that heated moment, if you react immediately, words come out that you later regret. But if you choose silence, if you take just 5 minutes to breathe, to step back, to remain quiet, you realize that the storm passes. And after the storm, you can see clearly. Silence did not weaken you. Silence protected you. It gave you the clarity to act with wisdom instead of impulse. We often mistake silence for weakness. People think, if I don't reply, if I don't argue back, maybe I will look weak. But in reality, silence is the highest strength, because silence is not about avoiding the situation. It is about seeing the situation clearly before acting. When you are silent, you are not running away, you are rising above. And rising above always gives you the bigger picture. There is a saying, noise is loud, but truth is quiet. Isn't that true? The loudest people in the room are often the most insecure, the most confused. But the person who carries truth in their heart does not need to shout. They can stand calmly, silently, because clarity itself is power. When you learn to value silence, you learn to carry truth with dignity. Nature itself teaches us this lesson. If you walk into a forest in the early morning, you will notice a deep silence. Yet, that silence is not empty. It is full of life. The birds are waking up, the trees are breathing, the earth is alive, but it all exists in silence. In that silence, nature has perfect balance, perfect clarity. The same applies to us. If we allow silence into our lives, we too find balance. We too find clarity. Think about the greatest inventors, thinkers, and leaders of the world. They all spend time alone in silence, reflecting, thinking, praying. Because creativity and clarity are born in quiet spaces, not in noisy rooms. The world wants us to believe that the answers are outside, but the truth is, the answers are inside. Silence is the key that unlocks them. Now, let's bring this closer to our daily lives again. Imagine you are at work and there is conflict between your colleagues. Everyone is trying to prove themselves right. Voices are rising, arguments are flying. But you choose silence. You don't jump into the chaos. Instead, you observe, you wait. And in that waiting, you see the situation more clearly than anyone else. When you finally speak, your words carry more weight because they are born from clarity, not from noise. This is why silence is not just about staying quiet. It is about listening deeply. Listening to your own heart, listening to God, listening to the truth of the moment. And when you listen deeply, you act wisely. Sometimes life will isolate you, not to punish you, but to give you silence. And in that silence, you will find direction. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but the more you embrace it, the more you will realize that silence is not loneliness, it is companionship with God. Silence is where God's guidance is the clearest because the world's distractions are the quietest. So, my dear friends, learn to trust silence. When confusion rises, don't always run to the crowd. Sit in silence. When anger rises, don't always react. Sit in silence. When life feels heavy, don't always drown in noise. Sit in silence. Because in silence, you will discover a hidden treasure, clarity. And clarity is what gives your life direction, focus, and peace. The world will always be noisy. People will always talk, distractions will always exist, noise will always surround you. But if you learn the art of silence, you will carry your own island of peace wherever you go. And in that island, you will always find the truth, you will always find clarity, and most importantly, you will always find God. When we look at the journey of life, we see that every single one of us is given a choice in different moments to remain in comfort or to rise with courage. Comfort feels safe, familiar, and easy. But courage, it feels risky, uncertain, even frightening at times. Yet, if you look back at your life carefully, you will realize something powerful. Every major growth, every deep transformation, every breakthrough happened not when you chose comfort, but when you chose courage. Comfort zones are like soft pillows. They make you feel good in the moment, but if you stay there too long, they weaken you. Courage, on the other hand, is like exercise. It may feel painful at first, it may stretch you, it may challenge you, but in the end, it builds your strength, your character, your spirit. And that is why standing alone often requires courage more than anything else. Because you are stepping out of the pillow of comfort into the challenge of truth. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine someone is in a job where they are not happy. They know they are capable of more. They know their talent is being wasted, but they remain there because it feels secure. The salary comes every month, the environment is familiar, and stepping out feels scary. That's comfort. But the moment that person decides, no, I will trust myself, I will trust God's plan, I will step out and try for something greater, that is courage. And yes, courage feels risky, but courage is what creates growth. Another example comes from our daily relationships. Think about when you know someone is treating you unfairly, but you stay quiet because you don't want conflict. That's comfort. You avoid discomfort today, but deep inside, you compromise with yourself. Courage, however, is when you respectfully but firmly stand up and say, "This is not right. I value myself enough to set boundaries." That courage may feel scary in the moment, but it frees you. It gives you dignity. And once you choose dignity, you can never go back to the small comfort of silence. Here is a truth we often forget. Comfort makes you acceptable to the crowd, but courage makes you valuable to yourself. And in the end, living with self-respect, guided by God's strength, is far greater than living with the approval of others. Think about all the times in history when great change happened. It never happened because people sat comfortably, blending in with everyone else. It happened because one person, sometimes all alone, chose courage. They stood up when it was easier to sit down. They spoke truth when silence would have been safer. They took action when waiting would have been more comfortable. That courage changed not just their life, but the lives of thousands. Even in our own lives, courage doesn't always mean big public acts. Sometimes it is quiet, personal, invisible to the world, but it transforms us deeply. For example, the courage to wake up early and work on your dream when everyone else is sleeping. The courage to forgive someone when your ego wants to hold a grudge. The courage to admit your mistakes and learn from them instead of pretending to be perfect. These small acts of courage are greater than they appear because they build the foundation of your character. But why is courage so difficult? Because the unknown is always uncomfortable. Comfort keeps you where you are, but courage takes you into the unknown. And the unknown is where growth lives. Just as a bird has to break the comfort of the shell to fly, just as a seed has to break the comfort of the soil to grow into a tree, you too must break the walls of comfort to step into your potential. Many people pray to God asking for strength, but often God gives situations that require courage. Because strength is not given in a gift box, it is discovered through courageous actions. When you stand alone, when you face rejection, when you make a decision that scares you but aligns with your values, you will feel a divine energy rising in you. That is God's way of showing, "I am with you." Let me share another very relatable example. Imagine a student who is asked to cheat during an exam because all his friends are doing it. Now, comfort would say, just do what everyone else is doing, blend in, avoid standing out. But courage would say, no, I will do the right thing, even if it costs me. That moment of courage defines his integrity, his strength, his character. And later in life, when bigger challenges come, that same courage will protect him like a shield. This is the gift of courage. It does not just solve the problem in front of you, It builds the strength to face every future problem with dignity. Comfort delays growth, but courage creates it. So, my friends, always remember the crowd chooses comfort, but leaders choose courage. The crowd looks for safety, but the courageous look for truth. The crowd avoids standing alone, but the courageous know that standing alone with God is better than standing with the world in compromise. Yes, courage is uncomfortable. Yes, courage is difficult. Yes, courage may isolate you for a while. But in the end, courage gives you something comfort never can: clarity, freedom, dignity, and real strength. Comfort may keep you safe for a moment, but courage will keep you strong for a lifetime. So, when life presents you with a choice, comfort or courage, pause and remember this: comfort may please you today, but courage will shape you forever. Choose courage, because courage is where God's strength flows, courage is where true growth happens, and courage is what allows you to stand alone, unshaken, unafraid, and unstoppable. One of the greatest struggles of human life is the desire to be liked, to be accepted, to be appreciated by others. From childhood, we are trained to look around for approval. When we do well, people clap. When we make a mistake, people criticize. And slowly, without realizing it, we begin to measure our worth through the eyes of others. But here lies a great danger. When we live only for popularity, we forget our purpose. When we chase the applause of the crowd, we lose the guidance of God. Purpose and popularity rarely travel together. Purpose is often a lonely road, while popularity is a crowded one. The crowd will clap when you do what they like, but they will turn away the moment you do something different. Purpose, however, is not about pleasing people. Purpose is about pleasing God, living in alignment with the truth He has planted in your heart. Think about this in your daily life. Suppose you have a dream to start something meaningful, maybe a business, maybe a creative project, maybe a social cause. The moment you share it, people begin to question you. Why waste your time? Why not do something safe? What if you fail? If you seek popularity, you will stop there. You will bend to their voices and abandon your dream. But if you choose purpose, you will continue. You will remind yourself, this vision was given to me, not to them. My responsibility is not to please everyone, but to fulfill the purpose God has placed within me. That is the difference between living for popularity and living for purpose. Another example is honesty. In workplaces, in schools, in society, dishonesty is often rewarded. People who cheat, manipulate, or take shortcuts sometimes rise quickly and gain popularity. But when you choose honesty, you may stand alone, you may lose temporary support, but you stand with dignity, you stand with purpose. And while popularity fades like smoke, purpose remains like fire. It burns, it lights, it inspires. Popularity is like the wind. It changes direction every day. One day people will love you, the next day they will criticize you. But purpose is like a compass. It always points to the right direction, even when storms blow against you. If you allow your life to be directed by popularity, you will never be stable, you will always be shaken by opinions. But if you anchor yourself in purpose, you will remain steady, because you are not living for applause, you are living for meaning. Let us look at a very common example: social media. Today, many people post not to express themselves, but to impress others. They measure their value in likes and comments. If the post gets attention, they feel worthy. If it doesn't, they feel empty. That is the trap of popularity. It makes your happiness dependent on the approval of strangers. But imagine if instead of chasing likes, you used your platform to share something meaningful, something inspiring, something purposeful. Even if only one person is impacted, even if only one life is touched, that is greater than 1,000 empty claps. Because purpose is never about numbers, it is about depth. The truth is, following purpose will sometimes make you unpopular. People may not understand your decisions. They may question your choices. They may laugh at your path. But ask yourself, do you want to be remembered as someone who pleased the crowd or as someone who fulfilled their calling? Popularity may give you recognition today, but purpose will give you respect forever. Every great person you admire, leaders, saints, thinkers, visionaries, had to choose purpose over popularity. They were often criticized, opposed, even ridiculed. But they stayed true to their purpose, and eventually, the same crowd that mocked them began to honor them. That is the irony of life. If you chase popularity, you lose both popularity and purpose. But if you chase purpose, in time, popularity will chase you. In daily life, purpose can be as simple as choosing to do the right thing when no one is watching. It can be choosing kindness over cruelty, service over selfishness, truth over convenience. And these choices may not make you popular, but they make you powerful in a deeper way. Because popularity is borrowed. It comes from outside. Purpose is owned. It comes from within. Think about a candle. A candle's purpose is to give light. Whether people gather around it or not, whether people appreciate it or not, the candle continues to burn. That is purpose. Now imagine if the candle said, I will only shine if people clap for me. The world would remain in darkness. In the same way, if you wait for popularity to live your purpose, the world will remain in darkness. Your role is to shine not for applause, but because that is why you were created. So my dear friends, the next time you face a decision, should I choose what will make me popular, or should I choose what will fulfill my purpose? Pause and reflect. Popularity is temporary, purpose is eternal. Popularity is about how many people know you, purpose is about how many lives you touch. Popularity is about what you gain, purpose is about what you give. And remember this always: at the end of life, people may not remember your popularity, but they will remember your purpose. They will remember how you made them feel, how you inspired them, how you stood firm when others gave up. That is the real legacy. So choose purpose above popularity. Stand alone if you must, walk alone if you must, but never betray your purpose just to win the crowd. Because in the end, it is not the claps of the world that matter, it is the smile of God that matters. And when you live with purpose, that smile is always with you.